Hi, this is Heidi, episode 60, Other People's Feelings. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello, y'all. How is it going? I'm glad you're here. Thank you to those who continue to rate, review, and share these episodes. Make sure you click subscribe, that button, so each week the episode just pops up for you, kind of like magic. Several people have told me personally this week how much these podcasts are helping and have given me topics to actually cover in the future. So anyone, please feel free to email or contact me for topics that you have maybe heard me mention and you want me to go deeper or give examples. I know we all learn from examples. Okay, today I want to discuss and explain deeper and more clearly other people's feelings or the emotions that we see and think other people are feeling. Usually I spend much more time here talking about your feelings or what we create in our bodies, being aware, processing, and controlling our feelings. And what happens is that occasionally things get misunderstood or I don't clarify enough to help you separate where your feelings and another person's feelings stop and start, or where your responsibility and another person's responsibility stops and starts. And this is easy to happen when suddenly we learn, oh, I'm not making another person feel a certain way. Their thoughts, which come from their lens or life experiences they have had, those are creating their emotions. Sometimes people think this means, well, I don't have to be considerate or even care about another person's feelings. And that is not the case at all. Well, unless you want to be that type of person. But I'm guessing since you're listening to this podcast, you don't fall into that category. And lucky for you, only psychopaths don't care about other people's feelings. And again, I'm hoping you're not in that category either. So people swing from wanting to take on the emotions of everyone around them and make everyone happy or figure out what they did wrong to make someone else feel the way they do, to the extreme of I don't care about anyone. Y'all, that's all or nothing thinking, and it's not what we're doing here. There are lots of options in the middle, and the middle requires us to do the work of accepting some gray and accepting two opposing views might be true at the same time. So listen again and hear the difference. Then I'm going to give you very detailed tools and examples for how I've learned and apply these principles and feel so much more calm and control than I ever have before. So I do not create your emotions, and I choose not to have it be my job to manage your emotions. That means I don't know what's right or wrong for you to be feeling at any time. I don't know when it's appropriate or right for you to be happy, offended, excited, disappointed, and so forth. Let's remember what creates our emotions. Anything we feel is created by a thought we have. Remember, feelings are different from sensations, pain, hunger, being tired. Those are not feelings, and we're not talking about those. So we create our feelings with thoughts in our head. We have a lower or primitive brain that automatically processes a lot of what it sees to determine if our survival is in danger. So we might have some automatic thoughts, even some we've practiced over and over that seem like truth, that seem just like a circumstance or something outside of us. Some people automatically have a heightened sense of threat or fear, much higher than other people. Okay, we also have a higher brain. Humans have evolved to have a prefrontal cortex that can reason, that can imagine the future, can empathize, can process more than just our life is in danger. Do I need food? Am I being left out? And so on. And each of us has about 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, give or take a few thousand. I'm pretty sure my daughter has twice as many, but that's neither here nor there. So our prefrontal cortex is a wonderful part of being a human and creating opinions, biases, beliefs, and so on based on the experiences that we've individually had in life. Someone who almost drowned to death will have thoughts that create more fear around water than someone who hasn't. If I'm not afraid to drown, I can't tell this person that they shouldn't have an increased fear. We see water with different lenses. An oldest child in a family might experience their childhood different than the youngest child. A divorced mother will have different perspectives on marriage than a widowed or married mother, maybe. Who knows? But our experiences are all different, all of us, and they are all right. We are not right and everyone else is wrong. Okay, it doesn't work that way. I get to be right for me and you get to be right for you. Now, of course, legally, we have layers of what's legally allowed and not. But even in the law, we try to equalize experiences. We do our best, but even there, things are not balanced and equal. So, the way this plays into our emotions and other people's emotions being separate is that we may have an opinion that asking someone out how much money they make isn't an insensitive question, and another person may have an opinion that that question or even discussing money is inappropriate, and they might be offended that you ask them what their annual salary is. Two different opinions about money. The first person isn't rude for asking, and the second person in that scenario isn't wrong to be offended. We all bring different opinions to our interpersonal exchanges, and it's always wise to let other people be totally okay with who they are with their opinions. Emotionally mature people can choose to be considerate about other people's feelings, to care, and to be curious as to how someone else feels, to investigate why someone is sad or such if they want to. An emotionally mature person will desire to be kind, compassionate, and considerate, and knows that the other person may or may not see those actions as kind, compassionate, and considerate, and to allow that to be okay. Because we're all different. We all have a variety of opinions about what is kind, what is compassionate, what is considerate. So an example of misusing this work and the model is if I go up to someone and say, "Oh, I had so much fun at our girls' night last night that you were not invited to." And then when the friend gets offended, I say or think, "Well, it's your thoughts making you offended." No matter what, we're always responsible for our actions and where our intentions are coming from. When we're acting in the integrity of the person we want to be, and if we have the mental capacity to read other people's emotions, which some people do not have, we have a general awareness of what comments, actions, or such will be interpreted in certain ways. When I lived in Portugal for 18 months on a mission for my church, people all the time comment on other people's weight, just like it's the weather. And I had to practice getting a really thick skin for all the comments I got for how big I was, since I was pretty much taller or bigger than all the women and most of the men in the country. So kindness and consideration also differ culturally. So I want to teach you a metaphor, and then we're going to learn how to apply it in lots of situations. I think of our emotions like the baggage claim conveyor belt at the airport. We all stand around waiting to grab our bags, and often we need to examine bags that look alike to make sure that we take our big, heavy bags and not someone else's. Everybody that we come in contact with during the day is experiencing emotions of one sort or another, and we have to decide if we're going to pick up their emotions or let them move by and be the responsibility of someone else. Because remember, bags are heavy, and the more we pick up, the less energy we have to carry our own bags. Strangers driving in cars around us may be in a rush, cut us off. They could be driving in inconsiderate ways. That inconsiderate bag isn't one we have to pick up if we don't want to. We don't have to get angry that that other person is driving crazy, or that the person in front of us at the checkout is not polite. We don't have to then mirror that emotion and make it be anger in our body. This requires us to look at that anger or rudeness as a bag going by us on the conveyor belt and say, it's okay for that person to be that way. They have free agency. I don't know why they're acting that way. They could be driving that way because they're rushing to the hospital. Does it hurt me to act in kindness and let them go in front of me? I consciously say to myself, they get to act that way. I don't have to choose to be angry about something that's small and petty. So your first tool is to say to yourself, I don't know why they're acting this way, and I can choose how I respond. Now, next, being considerate and caring about other people looks like not making how other people are feeling or acting mean anything about us. My neighbor who drives by and doesn't wave, or the coworker who just walks by my office without saying hi, or is frustrated or makes a rude comment, I don't have to take this personally. This is picking up the bag and adding weight to my own emotional baggage if I do that. I can leave the bag on the conveyor belt and be considerate by not being offended and by asking my coworker maybe how the big project is going, if I can help with it, or could I listen while they blow off steam. With our teenagers, it can be easy to interpret their emotions as something we need to fix or to be offended by the things they say directly to us or even about us. Last night, my son got very mad at me and he had some choice words. I knew he was struggling and I saw some raw emotions, and really my intention was to be supportive. I was hurt. I felt the anger go through me, but I chose to leave and to not react to him. I knew his words and emotions were not about me. I had to use my higher brain to calm down my anger, which I did. I was concerned about how he was feeling and metaphorically how he was carrying his own emotional bags. But I didn't pick up his bag by wanting to change his emotions. I wasn't trying to make him happy. I didn't make it wrong for him to be feeling that way. So I was concerned and I was kind. And by not making it mean something about me and adding offended and anger to my own bags, I let his emotions go by on the belt in front of me. Notice how I have so much more control over my thoughts, and then how I show up for my children by respecting they will feel a whole variety of emotions during the day. To validate them, to be empathetic, and offer confidence that they have the strength to manage their own emotional bags. Empathy is, I see your sadness. I see your grief. It's a heavy bag. I've carried that before. It hurts. I'm here for you and I'll walk next to you while you carry that bag. I can maybe distract you from the weight of it. I can bring you Diet Coke and chocolate. But it's a healthy bag to carry. It's part of your human experience. And I'll be carrying that bag one day, or I have carried it myself. We're all in this together. When your spouse comes home from work tired, cranky, irritated, annoyed, this is a bag on the conveyor belt that you don't have to think is wrong, that you don't have to try to manipulate and control. Months ago, I caught myself wanting my husband to forgive someone who I had forgiven. I was picking up his bag and making it part of my weight to carry around. Then I realized, wait, I don't know why it's hard for him to forgive in this one thing. I don't have to make it wrong that he's struggling with this. By allowing this, I showed up as a much more supportive and non-controlling, or as non-controlling as I can be, wife. I didn't try to give reasons why I forgave this person. I was able to drop it all and respect that he gets to work through it himself. And I don't need to know what the right timeline is for him. Notice how often, especially women and mothers, we try to make everyone else happy. We're taught to sacrifice, to be mommy martyrs, and put ourselves last, and that even that's where we can get our value from. But by doing this, which is effectively picking up every single bag of every single person in your life, we end up drained. We end up unable to be empathetic, kind, mature, confident, because we're twisting ourselves into pretzels to manipulate and control other people's emotions, which, remember, are created by their thoughts. When you see yourself do this, ask yourself, why am I thinking this person shouldn't feel this way? Am I trying to control them or a situation? And if I am, how is it actually hurting this person that I'm not allowing them to feel human emotions? Allowing our children to feel rejection, disappointment, discomfort teaches them that they can feel these emotions and that they need to feel them to grow, progress, and then feel pride and success on the other side. Months ago, my son was nervous before giving a talk in church in front of a few hundred people. What if I had picked up that bag and helped him get out of that responsibility? Then he wouldn't have had the pride he felt, and he wouldn't have increased his comfort zone by doing the talk. I was kind and considerate and empathized with him, And I had confidence in him that he could carry those bags. So what about the times that other people are feeling emotions and we do feel guilty about how we acted? Maybe we said something insensitive. We made a mistake. This is exactly where we do not want to misuse the coaching model I teach you and release any responsibility for how someone feels. I said something super insensitive and probably out of defensiveness to a friend one time. Immediately, I apologized. I said how insensitive I was, and then I explained that I felt that comment was coming from my own insecurity. It wasn't about her. So I didn't tell her that she shouldn't be hurt. I wasn't trying to manage her emotions or make it wrong that she was hurt, which is emotionally gaslighting her. I took full responsibility for my actions. And by being vulnerable and showing her some of the bags I was carrying, it created connection and developed more humility for me. So remember, our apologies are not to manipulate how someone else is feeling. Our apologies are because it's in line with our integrity, who we want to be. Because as we see all the bags going around all day, all the emotions, we can always ask ourselves, what does love look like here? Who do I want to be in this situation? Now, there are going to be situations where you need to respectfully allow emotions to go by in front of you. And even when people want you desperately to pick up their emotional baggage, when they want to blame you for how they're feeling, and to realize the healthiest thing for you and the most considerate and kind thing is to let those bags go by in front of you. You might work at a job where the company motto or goal is that every client is happy and satisfied. But of course, some will not be happy from time to time and they will want to blame you. You might be to blame. That's a good opportunity to own your actions and mistakes. But what if you aren't to blame? What if this client actually can't be happy or satisfied and asks you and your company to do something that you believe is unreasonable, unethical, maybe out of scope? At times, these emotions and people are the ones that we need to let stay on the emotional baggage belt and remind ourselves they can probably never be happy and stay true to who you want to be. A friend has a narcissist mother whose insecurity and manipulation have put a really big strain on their relationship. And my friend can see the insecurity, loneliness, the worthlessness, and the fragility of her mother. And in my opinion, my friend does a very mature job of being a very loving daughter. Her mother, though, often insists and tries to guilt trip her daughter into doing things, going places, posting on social media, or not posting on social media because of her, the mother's, emotions. Or she'll ask them to do things that my friend deems irresponsible for her family's health or finances, all because her mother tells her she won't feel loved unless they do that. Now, it takes our ability to separate our emotions from someone else's emotions to understand, like in this case, the reason that this person doesn't feel loved is not, I repeat, is not because of anything the daughter, in this case, does or does not do. Her insecurities, feelings of worthlessness are not her daughter's doing. So when my friend sees that, which she does, she's able to first have compassion. And heavens, we all know how awful it feels not to love ourselves. Now, second, my friend is able to prioritize her children, her own emotions, the emotional and physical safety of her family, and decide when she will do things with or for her mother. She wants to do these things from a place of love for herself and love for her mother. And knowing that no matter what she does, her mother is always then creating her own emotions. And her mother, like other people in these situations, will say things like, you are making me feel unloved. You're not a good daughter. You're making me feel worthless or rejected or lonely, whatever it is. My friend doesn't have to correct her mother, but inside she knows that she isn't creating her mother's emotions. And that allows her to show up as the daughter she wants to be. Actually, she gets to feel so much more love for her mother when she isn't first willing to disappoint herself, and she doesn't allow herself to be manipulated. She has learned when to let her mother's emotional bags go by on that conveyor belt, and she knows her mother has these feelings because of her life experiences, Her lens is different, and it could be that these emotions have been useful to her at some point. My friend, in a way, is seeing her mother exactly as she is. She's loving her right where she is, and at the same time loving herself and being accountable for her own emotions and actions. So the last question or tool I want to give you is to ask yourself, as you see people and their feelings go by each day, when you see yourself tempted to go and pick something up, ask, what does love look like for this person? Love for me and for this person. Am I loving myself by constantly mirroring other people's anger, depression, judgment? Am I loving myself by constantly thinking other people shouldn't act the way they do? Why do I think suppressing my own valid emotions to control another person and how they feel, which I'm not creating their emotions, is caring and considerate? Remember, if we tell someone that they shouldn't be feeling something, we are saying we think something is wrong with them. We think we know better how they should experience life. I think the most kind, the most considerate, the most compassionate and empathetic thing to do for others is acknowledge their emotions. Let them know, I see your struggles. Offer to help them in ways that are consistent with who you want to be, and then offer a safe and soft place for them to feel whatever they're feeling. When I do this, I'm amazed at how much more peace I feel, at the kinder things I say, and heavens knows my family needs me to model this. My children, they can be on the teenage emotional roller coaster, and I don't have to be on it. Now, have you been listening and you know these tools can help you? What are you waiting for? I promise you that emotional control feels so much better than people pleasing everyone around you. Sign up for a free consult call on HeidiBenjaminson.com. Do it now and model this for your children. Learn to manage your emotions now. Let them see you learning and growing just as you are. You've always hired coaches for them. Now it's time for you to have a coach, and I'd be honored to be yours. Have a great week.